Broadcast Row for the Now generation. And now a special presentation from Broadcast Row. Broadcasting live from the greatest city in the world. Wake up. It's time, people, for your morning online gathering. Hosted by Mardel. It's the Wrestling Morning Show. And it starts now.
Good morning, everybody. It's Mardel, the host of the Wrestling Morning Show. Thank you for listening to us. I hope your morning's going well, by the way. Is it? Are you at work? On the go? What are you doing? Just getting up? If you're in the West Coast, you're probably maybe just getting home. I want to say hello to everybody in the UK who listens to the program, of course, around the world. It's been an interesting week. We're going to talk mostly about SmackDown and, of course, No Mercy. The number is 844-627-3352. That's 844-627-3352. Follow us on Twitter at Live Morning Show. Any information you need, go to thewrestlingmorningshow.com. Last night, SmackDown was in Oakland, California, the new home of Marshawn Lynch, by the way. There was also a small little tribute if you saw Kofi's little dance to him. They open up the show with Shane O'Mac inside the ring. Let's go back and refresh your memory. We're going to talk about this right now.
Suffered at the hands of Kevin Owens. Thank you for that. Well, we all just witnessed what I considered a cowardly act carried out by Kevin Owens as he beat my father down in the middle of this ring. One thing's for sure, Dad, I gotta give him credit. My old man is one tough, salty SOB. Now, my father and I have not always seen eye to eye. That's not a secret. We've had our differences in the past. But at the end of the day, he's still my father. And I love him. So, Kevin Owens, imagine if you were at home last week, as I was, sitting with your children, as I was sitting with my 3 sons, and you watched someone you love get a beat down by a coward. How would that make you feel? My kids witnessed their grandfather getting beat down in the middle of this ring. And let me promise you this. When someone disparages or crosses the line against any McMahon, as a family, we will strike out with massive vengeance. Now, Kevin Owens, I don't actually think you realize what you have done. Or maybe you have, because I'm the one standing in the middle of this ring, and thus far, you're a no-show. Kevin Owens, you just didn't beat down the chairman and CEO of WWE. You beat down the patriarch of my family. Kevin Owens, I, Shane McMahon, condemn you. I condemn you to a ruthless beating at my own hands. I condemn you to a life of pain and suffering from these hands. And I condemn you to hell in the cell.
Well, there you go. Short and sweet, Shane O'Mac. Direct and to the point. I liked it a lot. He set the tone. He let everyone know, especially Kevin Owens, what he has in store for him at Hell in the Cell. We later find out Kevin Owens will address the crowd and the WWE Universe via satellite. So let's go ahead and take a listen, and we're going to realize now why he is the very best at what he does.
First thing I would like to do is apologize I really don't know what came over me. I watched the footage over and over again, and I still can't believe what I did. I'd like to apologize to all of you, the WWE Universe, to WWE management, and more importantly, a genuine, heartfelt, sincere apology to the McMahon family. I can also say with complete sincerity, Shane, you had it coming. This is all on you, Shane. You made me do that. You made me attack your father. You made me want to headbutt his skull off his shoulders. You made me want to punch and kick him like he was a garbage bag. You made me want to crush his ribs. Shane, it was you who disrespected me. First, it was you who disparaged the good name of Kevin Owens. You made me want to obliterate your father because in my mind, I was obliterating you. I have nothing but respect for your father. And when I shook his hand and made a deal that if provoked, I could beat a McMahon senseless, I knew he's a man of his word. But all of a sudden, he became you. All of a sudden, I was looking at you. You know, I'd actually like to make one more apology. And that's to anyone who dares to watch Hell in a Cell, because Shane, what I did to your father was nothing compared to what I'm going to do to you. Shane, you say you're going to condemn me to hell? I don't think so. Because see, for what I'm going to do to you, Shane, people like me don't go to hell. No, people like me go to heaven.
Okay, that was brilliant. Brilliant by Kevin Owens. Unbelievable. He is the very best. Love him or hate him, the show is better with him. I mean, it's been an unbelievable 2-year run he's had. So glad he's on SmackDown. Can you imagine SmackDown without him? And that was the next chapter of this great feud that is now starting with Shane O'Mac and Kevin Owens as they get ready for Hell in the Cell at the brand new Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. I heard this arena is next level. The amenities inside of it and surrounding surpasses all other arenas. I'm very curious to check this out, and I really hope I have a chance to go. With Shane O'Mac opening the show, then of course, VI Satellite Kevin Owens. That was the headline going in and leaving SmackDown last night. SmackDown opens with the first match, Randy Orton, Aiden inside the ring, kind of twisting the lyrics to Randy's theme song. I tell you what, Aiden English actually looks pretty decent. I mean, it's sad enough that Rusev had to job to Randy Orton, but Aiden English looks legitimate. Looks pretty good. Not only that, the natural heat he's getting for the horrible singing he is doing. Aiden jumps from the second rope and Randy lands an RKO. It's awesome. It's all the fans want to see. They want to see an RKO, especially out of nowhere. Now Rusev enters and demands a match. Okay, so the bell rings. There's a referee. Rusev calls this the revenge for SummerSlam. So Rusev pushes Randy, tangles up with Aiden on the apron. Rusev gives him a super kick, and he gets the pin. And that's his revenge match. And then Rusev actually has a very funny promo backstage. He is deceptively funny. We mentioned this 100 times on the show. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
I got him! I got him!
Excuse me, Rusev, you seem elated.
What does that mean? Of course I'm excited. Just beat the Viper. I just beat him. I pulled his little teeth. I drank his little poison. I beat him. I beat him. I broke him in half. Now, I return home, a conquering hero. Rusev number one. Rusev number one.
It's awesome. And the crowd's chanting Rusev number one. You seem elated. What does that mean? That was just hilarious. He's so funny, especially on Total Divas. Sometimes Total Divas is unbearable, but he actually makes it pretty funny. So there we go. So it is the much anticipated return of Charlotte Flair. The crowd was hyped for this. Oakland did a very good job, a great reception. She comes out. She's a face, a full-blown face, at least up until now. She's going to address the crowd. And of course, something comes out of this fact that she's inside the ring. And here we go. Let's take a listen, refreshing your memory. If you want to call the show, it's 844-627-3352. Call or text.
No one's actually happy to see you.
Wow, it's good to be back. It really is. I personally want to thank everyone for their thoughts and prayers while my dad's been sick. Yeah. It's been an emotional 6 weeks, literally life and death. But my dad is making a comeback. Of course he is. Yeah. However, when I was away, I learned a valuable lesson. Life is fragile, and it's unexpected. And that's why you have to make the moments count. So from here on out, I'm gonna make every moment as big as possible for me and my dad.
Golden opportunity for the heel to come out. Here comes Natalya. So Natalya comes out and she wants to celebrate the women and celebrate everything. And she tries to steal the thunder and shows a nice little photo of her, a portrait inside the ring holding up the women's title. Becky Lynch comes out. Now, the best part of this entire thing is Becky Lynch comes out and calls Natty crazy cat woman or crazy cat lady or something to that effect. Then, of course, everybody starts popping in. Now we have Tamina and Lana representing Tamina. I kind of like it. I've dug it. So now we got women inside the ring. We got 4 competitors. So we can only expect a big announcement coming up. Of course, Naomi's inside the ring as well. Now, of course, here comes our general manager.
SmackDown Live General Manager Daniel Bryan.
Easy there, Gloria Steinem. I'm sorry your whole celebration was cut short. I really am. But tonight, the women of SmackDown Live will indeed get a spotlight. Because this is the land of opportunity. In tonight's main event, we will have Naomi, Becky Lynch, Tamina, and the returning Charlotte Flair in a fatal 4-way match. And the winner of that match will face Natalya at Hell in a Cell.
Okay, so there you go. That match is set. And as you know, if you don't know, Charlotte becomes victorious. It's that simple. And Charlotte really has not been in the title picture since she actually moved to SmackDown. Now, of course, she took a couple weeks off because of the Nature Boy Ric Flair, Mr. 16-time. But now she faces Natty in a Hell in a Cell. I'm a huge fan of Charlotte, probably since day one. Talk about natural ability. This girl never wanted to be a wrestler, as a lot of you guys know. After her brother died, she decided to join the family business, and she's phenomenal. So we're going to see her face off against Natty. They've obviously fought in the past, and every time they fight each other, it's always a great match. This was also getting the momentum kind of going in. We kind of all knew Charlotte was going to win this. Everyone looked pretty good. Tamina's looking better and better every week. Now, the one thing that I do get upset with, it seems like it's the same cycle from the summer. It really kind of started before Money in the Bank. We have no storylines for any one-on-one competition. This is as bad as maybe Teddy Long always having a tag team match. They fit these girls in, and the winner wrestles someone. Fatal four-way, and then you get to wrestle somebody. Oh, that didn't pan out. Let's do it again. When was the last time there was a great one-on-one feud on SmackDown? It's kind of a shame because they really have some talented women on that show. And there needs to be feuds. Have you not recognized the storyline every single week, it seems like? They dump on each other, or even worse, they all meet backstage, and they talk about it, and then next week we're going to do something. It's not very fun. We've seen it now for the last 3 months. Hopefully this is a new direction. I would not be surprised if Natty drops it. Charlotte does have a book to promote, which I actually plan on buying. Nonetheless, congratulations to Charlotte. Excited to see what these two individuals will do. They're very smart people. So I think they're going to come up with something very creative for Hell in the Cell. So now we turn our attention to AJ Styles. We knew going into this week it was going to be AJ versus Baron Corbin for the U.S. Open Challenge. First to come in the ring was AJ Styles, and he had a nice little promo, almost kind of putting Shane O'Mac over and adding on to the build between Shane and Kevin Owens. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Now, before I talk about Baron Corbin, let me just say this. After what happened last week between Kevin Owens and Mr. McMahon, I would say, Kevin, you have no idea what you have done. You beat up a man responsible for AJ Styles being in the WWE. You beat up a man responsible for the WWE Universe being here tonight. So I was happy to hear when it was Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon in Hell in the Cell. Because trust me when I say this, Kevin, you're not going to make it out. Now on to the Shortcut King, Baron Corbin. Taking shortcuts his whole life, his whole career. In fact, he probably took a shortcut to get here tonight. He took a shortcut to get the Money in the Bank contract, cashed it in, and failed. He had a chance to redeem himself against John Cena at SummerSlam, and failed. So I'm going to tell the WWE Universe what they already know. When you step into the ring with a phenomenal one, you will fail. So Lone Wolf, you can huff and you can puff, but you will never blow down the house that AJ Styles built.
That was very nice. So what happens now, Baron comes out. Before the bell even rings, Ty attacks Corbin. Beats him up. There's no match. AJ puts Corbin in a calf crusher. He's tapping out relentlessly, but there's no match. And then, of course, backstage, Corbin is complaining about this, talking about the calf crusher, and so this is just another build. I enjoy this. Most certainly will probably be AJ and Baron at Hell in the Cell. Maybe a triple threat. Finally, Ty gets a push. I'm curious about that. I think if there was an opportunity for Baron to go over, after all these chances, I obviously have faith in this guy. The number one indicator, how much merchandise do you have on the website? That's always an indicator. I mean, there's got to come a time right now where Baron just got to look good. And it does mean a lot if you have a title. AJ Styles is an icon. One of the greatest of all time. Does he need a title? Of course not. It's great that there's a chase toward the face, AJ Styles. Maybe AJ's better utilized if he's chasing the WWE title. So much controversy with Jinder Mahal. It's up and down all the time. I like what they're doing with it. I hate what they're doing with it. Baron is probably going to go over at Hell in the Cell. And this opens up more opportunities for people like Ty Dillinger, Sami Zayn. It's always a great opportunity. And I think Baron has natural heat. People hate him. He's doing his job. And he'll look good against someone like AJ Styles. I'm sure of it. It's about 25 past the hour. I'll tell you what, we're going to probably take a small little break. We got more of SmackDown to talk about. We're also going to have Coder join us on the show in the second hour for the code break. The number is 844-627-3352, or follow us on Twitter at Live Morning Show. We're still going to talk about the future of SmackDown. We're also going to talk about the lack of appearances by certain people that we love on a weekly basis. And of course, we're going to talk about Dolph Ziggler. In the next hour, we're going to get to No Mercy right here on the Wrestling Morning Show.
Live on Broadcast Row, it's the Wrestling Morning Show.
Okay, so we're back, everybody. Numbers 844-627-3352. We're talking about SmackDown from last night. We're also going to start talking about No Mercy in the second hour. And we got the code break coming up in the second hour with Brent Coder as well. Dolph Ziggler, one of my favorite topics. I mentioned this last night on Twitter. I like what he's doing. Even if you get through some of these impressions and let's face it, they're tributes. He's a huge fan, regardless. And some of the impressions, they're spot on. It is well worth some of the cringeworthy aspect of this segment. It is well worth it. Simply just to hear those one or two lines he shoots after that. Some great lines. And now it's getting a little bit long. It's getting a little annoying. At the very end, he sums it all up. He's the very best in-ring performer right now. And I think he ended last night with, "I'm the best ever," which was no need for that. But that's been his mantra for the last couple of weeks. He's the very best in-ring performer of all time. He has a case for it when it comes to his generation, absolutely. I think right now it would be him and AJ Styles. He's phenomenal inside that ring. I would put Seth Rollins up there as well. And of course, I'm missing other people. Chime in, tell me, text me. 844-627-3352. Normally, we've played some of the audio from Dolph Ziggler. We'll probably play it a little bit later on, but there's no need to right now. New Day versus the Hype Bros. Solid. I think Mojo's getting a lot better. We've said this on the show, and we'll probably continue to talk when it actually makes sense to talk about it, but it's time for Zack Ryder to turn heel. I hate when people say that. We got to turn him heel. It's usually a cop-out. The best heel turns of all time are the least expected ones. Now, when you know somebody is tweeting toward becoming a heel, it's not as fun. They're starting to indicate a little bit with the Hype Bros. Something has to be done, as they mentioned, as they lost to the New Day. Pretty solid match, though. Both Zack and Mojo looked very good. They landed the midnight hour, and they pinned Zack Ryder. Hype Bros lose again. I'm a fan of Mojo. I'm a fan of Zack Ryder. Let's give these people something to do. Probably the biggest topic we're going to talk about, the theme of today, is how many times are we going to watch SmackDown the last couple of weeks and Nakamura's not inside the ring? Ziggler really hasn't wrestled. Where's Bobby Roode? Sami Zayn? Mike and Maria? List goes on and on. I am curious what you think. And now it's time to talk about one of my favorite people, the Maharaja, Jinder Mahal. We mentioned earlier in the program, so much heat now, more so than ever. I think people had their chance and their time to kind of let this marinate. And some people obviously felt heat toward this. I think there's a big revolt now, more than ever, to see the title change hand, and I think it will change hands at Hell in the Cell. We're going to take a listen to a promo done by Jinder Mahal. That's a little long-winded. Now, in the background, you guys remember the Singh brothers really overreacting and thinking that the Maharaja is the funniest person in the world. But he's the Maharaja. He's the Indian prince. He's a hero to 1.3 billion people. That's the Maharaja. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this, and we'll talk about it right afterwards.
I know it's hard to believe, but some of you people were in an absolute uproar over what I said last week about Shinsuke Nakamura. And apparently, Nakamura wasn't too happy either. But at least his face is still full of delight. And apparently he is also very angry. Here is his angry face. I bet half of you people are jingoistic and believe the fine people of Japan feast on feline and dine on dolphin. Your prejudice is all that Shinsuke Nakamura has to look forward to. You people will turn on him just like you turned on me. You deserve better. The man is an artist. And here is his artistic face.
At this point, it's getting just lame. It's obviously the same photo over and over. And now the Singh brothers, they're really just overdoing it.
And after I beat him at SummerSlam, here is his defeated face.
By the way, the timing on the Titantron for this was horrible.
Shinsuke, you always look the same.
So obviously that's a comment on his speech. He's making fun of him flat out. At least Jinder took a chance.
See, Nakamura, these people, they chant your name. They sing along with your entrance music. They do this deep down to hide their own xenophobia. These people are not worth it, Shinsuke. Behind your back, they're saying you get your hair cut by a dog groomer. They call you Mr. Miyagi.
This is actually brilliant. The crowd is chanting, "That's too far."
If you think that's too far, wait till you hear what I say in my language of Punjabi.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm digging Jinder. I think he's going to drop it at Hell in the Cell. And we'll translate this later for you guys, but I think he's going to drop his title at Hell in the Cell. I really do. I think it's the run for now could be over. Regardless of what happens, he's already established himself. He could be a solid mid-carder at any point, and maybe even a return to being that top guy. So what I love is after this entire kind of rebellious attitude of how the Maharaja became the Maharaja was fueled by the Americans really projecting their xenophobia and their racist comments and attitudes toward him. Then he goes and he makes his own comments toward the Japan-born Shinsuke Nakamura. I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun in Hell in the Cell with these two guys, and I really do believe this is going to be the time for Shinsuke. One thing they need to establish more is this casual aspect of the fans. Hardcore fans, we love Shinsuke, one of the greatest of all time, really. These casual fans have to start buying in. And the fact that the only thing he's doing, really, is giving just a couple word interviews backstage, which obviously is not a strong point. Get him inside the ring. Let people fall in love with him like they did at NXT. I want to remind you guys, we do this every Tuesday, every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Also, later on tonight, I'm going to announce a very special No Mercy live show we're going to do. Myself and Brent Coder will be part of that show. We'll give you more information. We'll post it on our website and, of course, on Twitter. Twitter, of course, is Live Morning Show. And for some of the new listeners that we have to the program, because you saw a post on Twitter, or you maybe stumbled upon on demand somewhere, or maybe you stumbled upon us on one of our on-demand sites, the show goes on demand in podcast form in iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. Pretty much everywhere. If you want to listen on the go, it's very simple. There's always going to be a Twitter feed, always going to be a Facebook feed. You can always stream on the website. We're always live on Spreaker, or you could download the app. We have our own app available in iTunes and Google Play. The app's name, the Wrestling Morning Show app. It's that simple. Well, it's about 9:37 Eastern Standard Time. Dial the number 844-627-3352. We have a lot of show coming up. We're going to take a very small break. Hope to hear from you on the call line or the text line. Coming up on the show, we're going to dive in and talk about No Mercy. We're going to have Brent Coder come on for the code break. Plus, we're going to open up the phone lines and text lines for the fans' open forum. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back. It's the Wrestling Morning Show.
Live on Broadcast Row, it's the Wrestling Morning Show.
Once again, thank you for joining us. The number's 844-627-3352. That's 844-627-3352. It's about 9:40 Eastern Standard Time. This is your host, Mardel. Recapping SmackDown, we're going to talk a little bit about Raw coming up. We're also going to talk a lot about No Mercy in the second hour. We also got the code break with Brent Coder. Call or text, be part of the show. It's 844-627-3352. What I want to do right now, if you can indulge me with this, we're going to go and we're going to listen to last night, 205 Live. I have been very critical of Enzo Amore on the show. We've talked about some Enzo fatigue. A lot of you guys have had Enzo fatigue. We were kind of enjoying the aspect of who attacked him, who attacked Cass. We found out it was Cass. Then we saw Cass really just beat up Enzo for a couple weeks in a row. We saw Big Show involved with that rivalry. Cass obviously got hurt. Directions have changed. Now to revitalize Enzo, but more importantly, I think add a spark to 205 Live, which we've talked about for months. We've brought up discussions of, do they need a facelift? Do they need different wrestlers? And then obviously we talked about, should they disband 205 Live? Everything was considered in discussions in the past, and I think it continues now. But I have to admit, with Enzo on this, it does give a decent opponent against Neville, who is one of the very best wrestlers. And this king of the cruiserweight gimmick that he has, phenomenal. Probably one of the best characters going on any brand whatsoever. So with that, people are now focusing, believe it or not, a little bit more on 205 Live. And this is their kind of final face-to-face before they meet each other at No Mercy this Sunday. Let's go ahead and take a listen for some of you who did not have an opportunity to either listen or watch this last night.
You got obliterated by the monster. If I were you, I'd be staying at home resting and recuperating. But here you are, dancing like a chicken and spouting your hilarious catchphrases. How are you doing?
How you doing, huh? See, normally, I would ask you that question, right? But I don't need to ask you that question because I already know the answer to it. You're jealous. And I must be the peanut butter for that jelly, kid. Because you've been jellying me ever since I made 205 Live the realest show in the room.
Me? Jealous of you? Look at me, Enzo. Then look at yourself. I am the most formidable cruiserweight on the face of planet Earth. How could I possibly be jealous of you when I am better in every way that is conceivable?
See, there's some truth to that statement as well. There is. You know, I am not the in-ring performer you are. I'm not the wrestler you are. But that, people, is precisely why you are jealous. You see, you want to hate on little old Zoe? Hating on me, bro, hating. Well, let me tell you something, all right? Hate ain't nothing but love disguised by jealousy. And if I were you, I'd be jealous of me too. Because no matter what the win and loss record says, I am twice the superstar that you will ever be.
Look at me, Enzo! Look at me! Do you honestly, genuinely believe for 1 second that I care about merchandise sales? That I care about celebrity relationships? Enzo, do you think I care about being a superstar? Nah. None of that stuff matters. Come Sunday, none of that matters, because you, lad, you can't fight. And me, Enzo? I am brutal. So what exactly are you going to do when I brutalize you to the point where you know there's no hope? What's you gonna do, Enzo? Are you gonna kick me in the crown jewels? Or perhaps you'll coax me into grabbing a microphone and getting myself disqualified like you did to The Miz? Either way, those tactics are not going to win my championship. The best you can hope for at No Mercy is survival.
You know what? You're right. Those tactics are not going to win me a championship. But it ain't Sunday, and this ain't No Mercy.
Oh! What is Amore thinking?
How you doing?
All right, so obviously Enzo kicks him right in the balls. That entire crowd was pro Neville. I maybe spoke too soon when I said he's revitalizing that brand. I'm curious what you think. 844-627-3352. That is 844-627-3352. That's the call line. That's the text line. It's also, you want to leave a voicemail and vent, air it out. That's why it's here. Once again, I want to remind you, we'll post this, of course, on the Twitter feed. When this show goes off the air, we go to on-demand content. Available in iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartRadio. Excited about the second hour. Get a chance to talk to Coder for the code break. That'll be coming up. Also, ladies and gentlemen, some of you guys have heard this already, especially if you follow this young lady on Twitter and especially Instagram, Paige. Paige sent out a photo on Instagram last night. And it pretty much said, went to see an old friend today. Good to be back there. Hashtag rode back to my house. And really it was a photo of the Performance Center. Now, WWE cared enough to actually share that on their website. And they're saying that she's indicating possibly a return. Of course, they know what's going on. First of all, she's much needed. They have a lot of talented females on the show. Just seems not to work right now with the current roster. But having somebody like Paige, first of all, was an enormous fan base. Enormous. She could go in the ring, great on that mic. And when she left, it was kind of a confusing character. Now she could come back, really set the tone, be a very dominant face, be a very dominant heel, pretty much whatever direction they need her to go. Some time away, you miss her. I think we all miss her. Not to mention, there's going to be appreciation. Some people want to speculate what's going on in her personal life. When she comes back, it's definitely going to be exciting. One topic that I really want you guys to chime in on, and I've been making comments on Twitter, and of course, when you make comments on Twitter, a lot of times they're taken out of context, but more importantly, they're subjective. They're subjective comments. Just my own opinion. And when I say I get upset when I don't see half the roster on SmackDown Live, it's the truth. You get upset. Some people want to comment and say, well, other people need a chance, or you don't want the same show all the time. But first of all, yes, everyone deserves a chance. I believe you create your own opportunity, especially in this. But are you kidding me, though? No Bobby Roode, no Mike and Maria, Sami Zayn not in the ring, Nakamura is backstage, Kevin Owens via satellite. If you take the television aspect of this, you're really competing every single week. You're competing against Raw #1. Same company, I understand. I wonder if there's somebody listening going, same company, really? You'd be surprised. You're competing against Raw. You're competing against other things on television. Now, we know Raw takes a back seat during football season. That's just a given. That's history. Literally, only during the Attitude Era. That hot streak of 2 years when the war was in its height, where even it ever made a dent into football on Mondays. But once again, let's go back to SmackDown. You're competing against other shows. More importantly, you're setting up for the future of the week. The next week, the week after, the week after. A good SmackDown could turn into be a good No Mercy, even though it's a Raw branded pay-per-view. You have Hell in the Cell coming up as well. And not a loaded roster. You don't have a loaded roster on SmackDown, especially when half the people are not even there. One thing I hate, and one thing I try not to do is obviously complain, but I'm just being honest out there. It'd be nice to see these guys that I mentioned. Fashion Files. How over are they? Even Ziggler. I could not wait for him to come out last night because I was just the product was a little stale. Hell in a Cell is a very big pay-per-view, very prestigious pay-per-view. But in the past, obviously, it was 2 brands. Now it's just one. And the one brand, which is the 2-hour show, does not have the loaded roster. You got to start creating these superstars. It's that obvious. Giving everybody an opportunity. We have the established stars like AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. It's not rocket science. Continue to develop stars, push the storyline. And let's have that roster out there. I'm not feeling good at what they're doing in the women's division. I love the fact that Charlotte's back. This is going to be the face Charlotte. But and I've mentioned this earlier in the program, it's the same cycle for the female storyline. They all bunch up together. They all talk about each other, mostly backstage or inside the ring. It's one of two things. Fatal 4-way, Fatal 5-way, or the ever-popular, now we've made a decision, next week on SmackDown. That's all I'm saying. I'm curious what you guys think. It's 844-627-3352. That's the call line and the text line. Probably take a little small break of a commercial right now. They're always small. I have to thank many of the sponsors. We got a lot of show left, ladies and gentlemen. We have over an hour left. And we got Coder joining us coming up very, very soon. This is the Wrestling Morning Show. This is Mardel. We'll be back in a matter of seconds.
The Wrestling Morning Show with Mardel, live on Broadcast Row.
Okay, Rusev is number one. The number is 844-627-3352. Some great lines that came out of SmackDown last night. Rusev, number one. And, of course, Kevin Owens going to heaven. I thought it was fun last night. We got the code break in a matter of seconds here on the program. If you want to chime in, the number is 844-627-3352. There's been a lot of speculation Triple H will face Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. And more importantly, SmackDown needs someone like Kevin Owens. They may need someone like Samoa Joe. They need another superstar. With the departure of Cena, and of course Cena's going to be part-time regardless, probably after No Mercy, they need that star. And if I think about this, the very best Randy Orton's ever been is when he was part of the legacy. Ted DiBiase Jr., Cody Rhodes, and they took on the McMahons. All eyes were watching. And I believe that's when Randy became a superstar. It's the same effect with Kevin Owens as he faces Shane O'Mac. And then can you imagine they bring in Triple H into the picture? The only thing I'm afraid of is Hell in a Cell's in October. What goes on from October all the way, let's say Triple H enters in February. Kevin Owens maybe gets lost in the shuffle. He needs a valid opponent. Of course, somebody's going to come to Shane O'Mac's rescue or defend him from now until then. I would love it for it to be Triple H. But as we learn from history, Triple H is only doing WrestleManias. Which is a shame, but, he's getting older now, and obviously he's got a lot of responsibilities. But that would be a great build-up. All eyes on WrestleMania. More importantly, all eyes on the build-up. If it is KO and Triple H. Now, if Triple H is trying to defend the McMahon family, that means he goes over. You want to make Kevin Owens a star to that next level? Obviously, a job to him. It's not rocket science. Ladies and gentlemen, as you guys know, when the show goes off the air, we go on demand. And it's available everywhere. iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. Listen to the program. A lot of you guys cannot get up early, or maybe not even available to listen to the show, but you guys could definitely listen to the show on demand anytime you want. Even though we are live every Tuesday and Wednesday at 9 a.m., listen to the show anytime you want. And you can also subscribe in the podcast form on iTunes and Google Play. We'll give you a link, obviously, later on. Hopefully tonight, we will announce our very special No Mercy show. We'll have some special guests on that show as well. One of those special guests will be Coder, who's going to be joining us in a matter of seconds for the code break. We have recapped SmackDown thoroughly. We've talked a lot about the fact that the roster has not been as full as we would like, especially with several names not on that roster. 21 past the hour right now, 10:21 Eastern Standard Time. We also have a lot of our polls still open on Twitter. Now, our pin poll right now that I thought would get a lot more response, but it has not. With the passing of Bobby Heenan, we ask you who's the greatest manager of all time. There are a couple options out there for you. We asked some questions last night, such as, in this past week, what mid-card moment did you enjoy the most? We also kind of gave some props to Dolph Ziggler last night. His liners, the shoots after the impressions, is almost worth it. Are you enjoying Dolph Ziggler? These are some of the questions. Some of these answers, I think, could also be provided by a very special person. I think it's time.
It's the Code Break with Brent Coder.
Good morning, Mr. Coder. Thank you for joining the show.
What's going on, Mardel? Good morning to you, brother.
Well, we have not talked in a while. I appreciate your time. I know you're a very busy man. Let's just jump right into it. Kevin Owens will be going to heaven. How about Kevin Owens last night? Even though I'm frustrated he wasn't there live per se. How awesome was that promo last night?
Oh, it was exceptional. It was everything that Kevin Owens is. It was just the perfect promo for him. Always the one to blame everybody else for his downfall or mishaps or the reason he's being held back. It was just perfect. Obviously a disingenuous apology. He's the best, man. I don't know. I say it every week, and I know I mark out about Kevin a lot, but, I mean, he's just the best thing about SmackDown week in, week out. And last night was the case yet again with an exceptional promo.
Well, there's times where, you have a chance to marinate what goes on, and I enjoy this very much. Everyone knows Shane McMahon. If you're a casual fan, you remember Shane from the Attitude Era. You remember him from the early 2000s. And the fact that his name is McMahon. So when you go up against somebody like Shane O'Mac, if you don't know Kevin Owens, if you're a casual fan, you're going to pay attention. So I think it's awesome what's going on with Kevin Owens. One thing that frustrated me last night, and we have to talk about it, we're going to save some of our comments and banter about No Mercy for our special show coming up this week. But last night, it was frustrating because there was no Mike and Maria. There was no Sami Zayn. Nakamura was backstage. There was no Bobby Roode again. There was no Fashion Files. The show itself, granted, it's 2 hours. Granted, there's only 3 or 4 storylines we care about. I'm growing frustrated. I even mentioned this last night on Twitter. And, of course, you don't buy into some of the replies that certain people have. But someone was like, you want to see the same matches every week? No, I don't. I just want to see some of the stars that we have not seen. It's not like we're missing 1 star or 2 stars. This is a loaded roster we have not seen in a couple weeks. Are you feeling that frustration, or am I blowing this out of proportion?
No, not at all, man. I'm feeling the same exact way. And we talked a little bit about this last week, when I think I brought it up then. It's like, where's Mike and Maria? Where's Fashion Files? Where's Sami Zayn? I mean, if we do see them, they're limited to some kind of backstage segment. It's just sad that, we watch this build-up, especially Roode. I mean, what is going on here? He's not going to be at the first pay-per-view. It certainly looks like it's building that way. I don't get it, man. Last night, in my mind, was a C-level show. It wasn't great. There were some good moments, some good parts, but just not a great show. There's room for the Fashion Files was a huge hit. That would have helped. Mike and Maria was a great segment when they were coming on. That would have helped. Sami Zayn is a great in-ring performer, yet we haven't seen him in weeks perform in the ring. I don't get it, man. I think, last night felt kind of forced in some ways, and there was certainly room to inject some new storylines, some new superstars, but all we saw was a continuation of the week prior. In a literal sense. I mean, we saw Ziggler do the same thing. We saw Jinder do the same thing. And it just grows tired.
Well, it was very frustrating last night, to be honest, when it came to that. There were some great moments that did stick out, don't get me wrong. But for the most part, and I talked about this literally minutes before you joined us on the show, you're competing against Raw, kind of. You're owned by the same folks. More importantly, you're competing to get more viewers next week and the week after. Hell in a Cell is a branded pay-per-view. People know Hell in a Cell. But the roster itself, come on. The roster cannot go and make this an unbelievable Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Why not have all hands on deck? I'll tell you what, a couple things that last night took advantage of the fact that it was kind of a half roster. And I mentioned this last night on Twitter. I mentioned it earlier in the program. And we've kind of debated on this. Ziggler. You know I'm a huge Ziggler fan. I'm a fan of his inside the ring. I'm a fan of him as a person. Last night, Ziggler comes out, and of course, there's a little bit of fatigue, and the bits go a little bit too long, and the wardrobe changes seem to take forever. But first of all, I enjoyed it last night, and no matter what, I will sit through and watch just to hear the 1 or 2 lines he will shoot and really kind of break the kayfabe, and I find that pretty entertaining, to be honest, and I really enjoy the direction this is going, minus some of the flaws I mentioned earlier. Are you not buying in yet? It doesn't seem like you're buying into the Ziggler segments.
Well, I mean, I think I said last week, it's like watching his midlife crisis, right?
Classic line.
Show, like, you know, if he had a show like Miz TV, it would be called Ziggler's Midlife Crisis, and this is what it would look like. You know, I mean, I think we got it after the first time he did it. You know, I'm still waiting for this gimmick killer to come out. He should be attacking people with cheesy gimmicks. That would go a lot further to make his case. And maybe that's where this evolves to. Maybe this is the setup to that. I'm hoping that's where it goes, because I don't know where else it goes after this. We certainly can't watch this for, 3 more weeks of him just picking everybody with a gimmick and coming out and trying to be funny about it, or, getting in a little knock here or there, or shoot, as you may say, on some of these old wrestlers who, by the way, have become way bigger stars than he ever has. So I don't know, man. I don't, it's not like I hate Ziggler or anything like that. I tend to agree with his take. He's one of the best, maybe not the best, but he's one of the best in-ring performers, maybe ever. Obviously, that's very debatable, but he's certainly up there, top 10 at least. And so, he's making his case. I don't know that it's working. The crowd seems sort of flat for the most part during these segments. And, for me, this is now the 3rd week we've seen it in a row that these segments are like 15 minutes long or longer. And, that's about 45 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. So
wow. Okay.
That's where I'm at.
So I know where you stand. Okay. Enough said. Now, one thing that I can only imagine is somebody who kind of has a gimmick is Bobby Roode, has the robe, has the flashy theme song. They could easily inject him next week and make a little bit of sense for those two guys to go at Hell in a Cell. If we even know where Bobby Roode's at and what's going on. Obviously, if he's injured, they may keep that a secret. Who knows? But it's a lose-lose, win-win at Hell in a Cell. If Bobby loses his first pay-per-view match against Ziggler, okay, where does that put Bobby Roode? If Ziggler, with his new persona or attitude, I should say, loses to Bobby Roode, that takes Ziggler back again. So that's just one option, I think, if Bobby Roode, all of a sudden they decide to do this.
That's actually a great point. I would love to see that match. I think the only way that can happen, though, is we've got to see Roode. And, I mean, with him being off TV for the last, I think it's 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we saw a promo a couple weeks ago, but we haven't seen him in ring in 3 weeks. So, if that were likely, I think we would have seen him by now. But that certainly would make for a good payoff and begin the idea of this gimmick killer. And it could end in a DQ or whatever, with him just being vicious and beating him down or whatever the case. They could find a way to end it where it wouldn't squash either one of their heat, so to speak. So I would love to see that, actually.
Probably the best line last night, besides Kevin Owens going to heaven, is Rusev backstage with Renee Young. Rusev, you seem elated. And he goes, what does that mean? Oh, my God, I popped. It was so funny last night. We've talked about this. He is deceptively funny. So funny. One of the only things that's worth watching Total Bellas for, which is coming back very soon. Not Total Bellas, Total Divas, which is coming back very soon. And then Rusev is number 1, which is awesome. The crowd starts chanting Rusev number 1. I just wanted to throw that out there. We're not even going to talk about that. But I do want to talk about Jinder and his borderline racist comments last night, which I thought was ironic considering his entire mantra of the emergence of the Maharaja was all the xenophobia that goes on with him and the looks and the banter and the touching upon racism with Jinder Mahal. Then he goes and pretty much does the same thing to Nakamura last night, which, I love the Maharaja. Last night didn't really evolve much. I really do believe, and we're not talking No Mercy, we're not talking Hell in the Cell, but I do believe we're going to see a title change in our near future in Hell in the Cell. Any thoughts about the Maharaja or the feud with him and Nakamura stemming from last night?
Well, I would have loved to seen, Nakamura actually come out there last night, especially after the, I don't know what you'd call them, racially charged comments, stereotypes, essentially xenophobic comments, which, who just, to your point, makes him a hypocrite. Even the crowd saying, chanting, that's too far.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't see that. And I think, WWE obviously needs to be a little careful there. I think we're going to see the title change hands, one way or the other. It's going to go to Nakamura. But, I'm disappointed where they're going with Jinder's character. I don't think humor is his angle. I don't think it was funny the first time we saw this segment last week, and all we saw basically was a repeat with some racist comments this week. So I don't think that's his angle. I like a vicious, serious heel that he has been. And I know that they're trying to evolve his character a little bit, add layers, and I appreciate the attempt. I think it's fine to do once, even though it didn't go so well, but to bring it back again and to continue this angle of what's supposed to be somewhat humorous, I don't think is working. And I don't think it goes to really get me excited about the feud between him and Nakamura, to be honest. So, I'd rather see in-ring confrontations, things like that to really hype this match. So I'm a little disappointed in the build here, as I have been with a lot of the Nakamura build. But that said, it should be a great match. And I'm looking forward to seeing the title change hands and seeing Nakamura make a run with it.
I am too. The one thing, I agree with you when it comes to the comedy aspect, but you're also going up against somebody that is tough to put over. There's only one way you put Nakamura over, and that's you show his in-ring ability. Very simple. And they are not doing that. You fall in love with Nakamura. You know who Nakamura is when he performs inside the ring. So now they're in a tough situation. They're trying to build this match for the WWE title, the most prestigious title in all of sports entertainment, and it's tough to do it. Now, if you took Jinder's angle of, the typical angry heel, the demeanor was obviously low-key in the past, maybe they're trying to do something. And obviously, you're going to feel for somebody like Nakamura who's getting literally picked on. And that could be the direction they're thinking in their heads. It's not coming off like we like it, but they're also in a tough situation. They have arguably one of the most popular wrestlers in the world in Shinsuke Nakamura, one of the very best in the ring, but it's tough to put him over. It's tough to sell. There's only one way you can do that, and that's obviously put him in the ring and show him off as a great wrestler. All right, let's move on to a couple things. Let's talk about your favorite all-time wrestler, Baron Corbin. Last night, him and AJ, I think it's obvious, at least in my eyes, that the U.S. title is probably going to drop to Baron Corbin. And now that we have some of these faces that are mid-carders on the program, they'll probably get more opportunities coming up. Give me your initial thoughts. What I loved was Ty Dillinger last night. I love Ty Dillinger. It's kind of tough being AJ Styles. You can't go one-on-one promo-wise with Baron Corbin, and that's very tough to do. But I kind of like the heel aspect of Baron Corbin. I've been a fan of his potential for a while. He's nowhere near that level yet. Give me your thoughts about AJ Corbin and Ty Dillinger. I also suspect possibly a three-way going on to Hell in a Cell. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I'm just a huge mark for Baron Corbin. Huge fan.
Yeah, he hates him. If you're listening, he hates him.
Right. Obviously not. I've grown pretty tired of Corbin. And, he's a shortcut king, right? We heard AJ say
right.
it, and everything he said about him last night was actually true. It was essentially a shoot because he laid down the facts about Corbin and his recent run. I love seeing Ty Dillinger get involved. I'm not a Ty Dillinger fan either, but, I think this is great for him. I loved, where they're going with Jason Jordan on Raw. I think it's great for these two young guys to be seeing the spotlight. And anytime you're sharing the ring and a moment with AJ Styles, that's big as a young superstar. So good for him. I thought the segment overall was a pretty good one, and we may end up seeing a three-way match here for the title. I could see, obviously a match coming out of this between Corbin and Dillinger, but this could go further where we actually see all three involved in a match for the title, which could be interesting and maybe needed, to be honest. I think, that might help everybody involved because I don't expect to see an incredible match from Corbin and AJ, although AJ can certainly bring it up a notch being in the ring with them. Really love to see a three-way match here. I think would be an interesting way to go here.
Well,
good for Dillinger, and I don't know what's in Corbin's future. I don't know if I see him putting the title on Corbin. We've seen him fail all too often over the past month, really. So a continued failure would obviously be devastating for him. But I don't know that he deserves to hold the title at this point.
Okay, we're listening to the Code Break with Brent Coder. Follow Coder at CodeRock874. That's CodeRock874 on Twitter. So much to talk about, but we have little time. The last main topic I want to talk about is Charlotte's return. Charlotte's return and all the women vying for a chance to take on Natty. And, of course, Charlotte wins. First of all, it's great to see Charlotte. I'm a huge fan of Charlotte. We all know why she was gone. She's paying attention, taking care of Nate. It's the same cycle we've seen since the summer. Let's all meet up, either backstage or in the ring. Let's all talk about each other. And then either Shane or Daniel Bryan says, all 4 of you, 5 of you, 6 of you, you're going to have a match. It's the same cycle. There's no one-on-one feuds in that division. I'm almost ready for Carmella to be champion at this point. Even though I'm a huge fan of a lot of these women in the division, it's the same cycle. It's not entertaining anymore. There's nothing. I stopped caring. It's getting frustrating to me. So I ask you, as my devil's advocate, am I overanalyzing this? Do I have a point?
No, I'm actually with you here, man. And I hate to be such a naysayer today, but man, the celebration of women segment was it was horrible. It was hard to watch. It went on too long as well. I was excited to see Charlotte back and obviously performing in the ring. That was great to see. It's great for the division. I would love to see her get the title back. Obviously, we haven't seen that on SmackDown, and she's one of the most talented women, if not the most talented, on the mic, in the ring, and all around, and obviously has the name. So I think that the title will be around her waist sooner than later, and maybe as soon as Hell in the Cell we'll see her, go over Natty and take the belt. I just don't see a long run for Natalya in the future. Not a lot there with her character. This whole crazy cat lady angle came out last night.
Great line.
It was
yeah.
it was a little brutal to watch it all, but the good thing that did come out of last night is obviously Charlotte's back. She's on a mission. And she said she's going to make every moment that she has unforgettable, as her father did. And I truly believe that she's capable of that, and that's what we're going to see in the months to come. So hopefully, like I said, sooner than later, we will see the title back around Charlotte.
Okay, I hope it's Charlotte and Naomi. That's what I've been waiting for. They teased it a little bit months ago. All right, I know you got to go, but we're going to do our tradition. Here we have some Twitter polls that happened in the last couple days. Give me your answer. Curious your thoughts on Bayley being added to the match and your thoughts for No Mercy. So what are your thoughts about Bayley being added to the match? Happy Bayley was added? No need to add Bayley? Not happy with the division?
I don't think there's any reason to add Bayley right now. We didn't even see Emma the other night. Like, I mean, obviously she has no chance. I think you were even saying maybe she had potential to win this thing. I think there's no chance for her to win, especially now with Bayley involved. So that just kind of really, I mean, you know, took her out of the equation. So I don't think this is the right time to bring Bayley back. I think it could have been more impactful if it became a one-on-one situation after this match at No Mercy that was set for the previous 4. So I'm not sure why she's getting involved, why they brought her back. I think, obviously they were in San Jose, so they felt like that was the time to do it. But yeah, not working for me.
Okay, well, out of those 3 options, all were 33%, with the last one being 34%. So that was interesting. Split down the middle. His liners and shoot after the impressions are worth having him do this. Are you now enjoying Dolph Ziggler? Yes, no, not sure yet. Those are your 3 options.
I'll say not sure yet. If this goes to a gimmick killer angle, I will enjoy it, but it needs to get there quicker.
Well, I tell you what, 42% say no, 39% say yes. This is my favorite question. I asked last night, what mid-card moment did you enjoy the most this week from both brands? What mid-card moment did you enjoy the most this week from both brands? Dustin Rhodes promo. Rusev, elated, number 1. Ziggler segment, or Jason Jordan wins?
I'm going to go with Jason Jordan wins, man. I've been a mark here for a little bit on Jason. I just love everything that they're doing with him. I love that he's going to be the one to face The Miz. It's kind of where I was hoping things would go. So that was the best moment for me, although I enjoyed Rusev number 1 as well. So
okay, well, Rusev elated and number 1. 39%. Second was Ziggler's segment. And the last question before you go is our pinned question in honor of, in my opinion, the greatest manager of all time. That's just my opinion. With the passing of Bobby Heenan, we ask you, who is the greatest manager of all time? Here are your options: Jim Cornette, Bobby Heenan, Paul Heyman, or J.J. Dillon.
In my mind, it's, who I grew up with. It's the brain.
Yeah.
Bobby Heenan all the way. I mean, one of a kind and just the king of one-liners. He's like the Yogi Berra of the WWE. And, just an exceptional manager and managed some of the best, including Andre the Giant and his whole epic heel turn. He was phenomenal in that effort. And, an amazing commentator as well. So Bobby Heenan all the way for me.
Well, Bobby Heenan, 53%. I really do not believe it was some sort of sympathy vote. Paul Heyman, 31%. In my opinion, it's Bobby Heenan. Not only is Bobby Heenan the greatest manager of all time, but he should be in this discussion as the greatest color commentator of all time. All right, Brent Coder, thank you so much for joining us on the Code Break. Follow Coder at CodeRock874. And let's get ready for a very special show we have this week, our No Mercy edition. Thank you, Coder.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
It's the Code Break with Brent Coder.
Well, it's always good to talk to Coder. That was quick, but we got a lot to talk about with Coder this week as we have our No Mercy show. Some of those poll questions that I just mentioned are still available. I kind of have them a couple days. I would think I'd get a better response for that pin-pulled question. Who is the greatest manager of all time? My opinion, it's Bobby Heenan. We talked about this. Passed away a couple days ago. The greatest manager of all time. I'm willing to bet maybe the greatest color man of all time as well. He was quick. He was funny. But there was times where he needed to be serious. No matter who he was managing, he got them over. He got them over. Think of all the greats that he managed. And one of the most iconic photos or scenes, obviously, WrestleMania 3, Andre versus Hulk Hogan. Andre obviously needed a mouthpiece. Who better than the greatest, maybe talker of all time, Bobby Heenan? Some of that iconic photos of them when they would take a little chariot ride to the ring. WrestleMania 3. In my opinion, probably the most important WrestleMania of all time. Probably the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. Hogan, Giant, still in the era of the kayfabe. And of course, the unthinkable. Andre the Giant lost to Hulk Hogan. Not only that, he got body slammed. Someone we never saw. And alongside history was Bobby Heenan. Greatest manager of all time. But I'll tell you what, a close second, in my opinion, is Paul Heyman. J.J. Dillon, Jim Cornette. Those are the four in my mind. And, of course, there are a lot of other great managers like Jimmy Hart, Captain Lou Albano, Freddie Blassie, and, of course, Sensational Sherry. Let's not forget her. I mean, there's not even a discussion who's the greatest female manager of all time. But she's definitely in the discussion of the greatest manager of all time as well. That's definitely something we should do. Have a show just on managers. It'd be well worth it, I think. As I mentioned, we're going to announce shortly a very special No Mercy show. Trying to get to all the specifics down so we could share it with you guys. We do this show for you guys, the fans. That's why we do it. There is a void in the mornings, especially from 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11, where you guys have a hub, an area where you guys can listen to wrestling for 2 hours. And, of course, you realize we don't curse. We don't try to yell. We just talk about wrestling, try to dissect Raw, SmackDown, the pay-per-views, kind of give you guys insightful opinions and thoughts and let you guys think about stuff. It's a conversation. That's all it is. Not this big debate, not this gimmick. I'm not trying to get over. I don't have a co-host. I have contributors like Mr. Coder. That's it, really. We try to have a little fun in the morning. Sometimes it gets too stressful, and mornings just suck. They suck. So why not have a show? Kill some time where you're at work. We always try to make this work friendly. Last thing I need is your coworkers. Wow, what's this show? Why is he cursing? Why is he yelling? You listen to wrestling? We don't try to do that. Try to have just, have a kind of a wrestling talk show format. That's it. Anything we could do to make you guys happy at work, we do that. We mention this again. If you cannot listen in the morning, if you're not able to listen, this show goes on demand. You could listen and stream it anywhere you want. You have to have these apps. You don't have iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartRadio. It's everywhere. And we always stream live on the WrestlingMorningShow.com. You have any information, you go to the WrestlingMorningShow.com. Even though we have a big special No Mercy show coming up, it has been a very long time since I've been excited, really excited about a pay-per-view. We went in talking about the poster match, the main event, Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman, the Beast versus the Monster. All eyes, I think, have turned its attention now to Cena and Roman Reigns with the fact that's how you build a feud. That's how you build it. They have not touched each other. They did it simply through words. Cena and Reigns, Brock and Braun. Those three matches alone are worth watching. We played audio of Neville and Enzo as Enzo goes for the Cruiserweight Championship. This crowd's going to turn on Enzo. I believe it will. Could be wrong. Finn and Bray, they could have done a better job, but we knew this was coming. Simply a rematch as the real Finn Balor takes on Bray Wyatt. Seth and Dean take on Cesaro and Sheamus for the tag titles. The Miz finally has an opponent, Jason Jordan, and that's for the IC title. I think this could be a very nice extended feud. So if I say that, I believe the Miz goes over. We could dissect that later. Now, this is interesting. Probably the one match I can't put my finger on. Alexa, who is the reigning defending women's champion. She takes on Sasha, Bayley, Nia, Emma. We've seen all of them in a tussle and into the mix. Can I see Alexa coming out really, truly upsetting on the fan base of Sasha, Bayley, and Emma? I would love Nia Jax to win. Having all these women chase Nia Jax. I like how her character has evolved. Yeah, we could see Sasha win. We could see Bayley win. If there was anybody I think could be a front runner. And if this summer into fall has not taught us anything, it's been full of surprises. And just when you thought You knew the direction they were going. There's a swerve. And that's why I think Emma could possibly win. I do believe that. I am excited for All Eyes, and this entire week virtually started as soon as really Raw concluded with a lot of their top stars going to Los Angeles. This all week is going to be filled with media and coverage as they are in Los Angeles, which is important. All eyes should be on No Mercy, Cena, Roman, Brock, Braun, and all these other great stars that are on the card. Having said that, I'm still nervous about SmackDown. I'm still nervous about Hell in the Cell. Where is this going to take us? We'll find out, I guess, right? Okay. I tell you what, I had fun this week. Did you guys have fun? Curious how many of you guys listen to the show back-to-back days. I think it all depends what goes on with Raw. I think it all depends what goes on with SmackDown. Obviously, our live plays, our on-demand plays, 100% reflect what goes on the night before, as it kind of should. I appreciate everybody who supports the show. It really means a lot. We do this for you, for the fans. I make no money on this. It takes a lot of money to actually get the show going. I want to thank the network that provides this Broadcast Row. It's a great network that's in its infancy. We're happy to be the flagship show of Broadcast Row. Well, thank Brent Coder, our great contributor. Even though he's on a different coast, he technically is kind of a co-host. Or I should say coast host. I'll start calling him that. You can follow Coder at CodeRock874. Also, go to his website, CodeRockStreetwear.com. We'll be announcing very soon our special No Mercy show. Coming up in about an hour, 90 minutes at the most, this show will go on demand. Please check that out. I want to thank everybody who I met on Twitter this past week, everybody that I've communicated with. I appreciate and love your opinions. This is why wrestling is the best. It's all subjective. And there's no right or wrong answer. There really isn't. Don't let anyone change your opinion or your thoughts. This is how you guys have fun. This is how you guys relax. This is why we love wrestling. We're going to love it even more this Sunday. I'm so excited. Having said that, every time I get excited about a pay-per-view, it lets me down. Every time I'm not excited, completely changes my mind about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you listening. Thank you very much. Everybody around the world, thank you, and be good.
Live on Broadcast Row, it's the Wrestling Morning Show.